Let's take for an example, a very concrete example, a child who is wandering and twirling and just going like this and focusing on his fingers. And typically that would be called a visual stim or self-stimulation, etc. Okay. We would try to turn that into an interaction. We would say, well, what is going on in the child's mind? You know, what fascination does a child find with moving his fingers in front of his eyes? And so one child who was in last week who was doing that, moving his fingers in front of his eyes, Daddy was ready to say, stop that and discourage it because it's a no-no, it's embarrassing. I said, wait, hold on. Let's make a game out of it. So I said to Daddy, I said, why don't you just move your fingers and see if he finds your fingers fascinating? So Daddy put his fingers in front of little Johnny and went like this. And Johnny started looking at Daddy's fingers. And I said, now move your fingers gently in front of your face. And Johnny began looking at Daddy's fingers in front of Daddy's face. I said, now gently move your fingers away from your face and give a smiling face, but make it very animated. I want a lot of movement in your face. Little Johnny looked at Daddy's fingers with fascination and was gave a little smirk actually, like this is different from what I'm used to. And then as Daddy began animating up his face with more energy and talking to little Johnny just about, I said, just talk about what Johnny's doing. Oh, gee, it's fun to look at fingers, isn't it? Blah, 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 blah. I wanted to just get movement in Daddy's face. Little Johnny began looking at Daddy's face, and his eyes started lighting up. And we started getting, for the first time, engagement. Now, that's the first step in helping a child enter the shared world and helping a child with a severe form of autism, which Johnny had, into a meaningful relationship. So we began getting some shared attention, we began getting focus, and we began getting some engagement. Then I said, let's not stop here. Let's see if we can get the third stage, which is two-way communication, interaction. Take your face, and all of a sudden, I want you to move to the right a little bit with it and see if Johnny follows you. And Johnny followed Daddy to the right. I said, now move to the left with the same animation. And if he doesn't just look at your face, add the wiggling fingers. And Johnny moved to the left. And pretty soon I said, now Daddy, I want you hiding behind that chair. And then we had Daddy moving from left and right to actually moving across the room and hiding behind a chair. And little Johnny went and found him, which actually got us to a fourth level, not just interaction, but something we call shared social problem solving, where Johnny and Daddy were solving a problem together. Johnny was finding Daddy behind the chair. You know, I actually had to do some thinking in order to solve that problem. So for a child who was withdrawn, we all of a sudden had a child who was now cooking at the first four levels of development: attention, engagement, back and forth communication with gestures, and some what we call shared social problem solving. The essence of floor time, the essence of this approach, is to harness the child's emotions by entering his world through tailoring to the way his unique nervous or her unique nervous system works, and then get affect or emotional interactions cooking. And then we try to go up the developmental ladder as high as we can with the child. And sometimes we're surprised, like with Johnny, we got much more cooking than we thought we were originally for the first session. And the parents were amazed, and I was frankly amazed.